In today's Farm Report, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has released grants for renewable energy and conservation help to cut energy costs, create jobs, and promote energy independence. Susan Carter with the USDA has more.
The latest allocation for USDA's Rural Development, Rural Energy for America program, or REAP grants, is
$6.7 million for projects in order for businesses and ag producers to help reduce their energy costs and promote clean energy. 544 projects throughout the nation.
Lillian Salerno, RD's Rural Business Cooperative Service Administrator, explains what the grants can be used for.
Retrofit lighting or taking refrigeration units that are older and bringing in new refrigeration units that are more energy efficient. They can be used for solar panels, a bunch of different uses. Some of the improvements are for ventilation and cooling, refrigeration or insulation, a wide variety of opportunities.
All of which Salerno says are crucial components to developing healthier, more economically vibrant rural communities.
The Snake River Brewing Company received a $13,810 REAP grant to install solar panels to generate energy for their business. This project will save electricity annually and reduce the use of traditional fossil-based fuels. It also will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 21.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide. So the equivalent of that is, a certain number of cars off the road equal, the carbon dioxide equivalent. So the brew pub is in the heart of the Teton Mountain Range and employs more than 100 people.
Salerno says the reauthorization of the 2014 Farm Bill has been significant for the Renewable Energy Assistance Program.
It gives folks certainty, and when you're running a business or running a farm or a ranch, what you need is certainty. And so we have loan guarantees as well as small grants, and so now we're able to work with the lending community and let them know that this money is not going away. It's what they call mandatory money. And that allows us to do a lot more loan guarantees for businesses. And this will really, really help our energy, the reduction of energy costs for businesses that need it.
Since 2009, USDA has awarded $545 million to support more than 8,800 REAP projects nationwide. For USDA Radio, Susan Carter, Washington, D.C. Initially, the warm weather was good for crop development, but as topsoil moisture diminishes and the heat continues, it's been hard on certain crops. USDA meteorologist Brett Rippey.
Most rain-fed crops are holding on in pretty good shape, but some dryland crops are starting to exhibit signs of stress, ranging across a variety of crops, particularly corn, but also starting to see stress on other southeastern crops like cotton and soybeans as well.
On June 22nd, the Southeast experienced extreme conditions.
Temperatures topping out at 101 degrees in Augusta, Georgia, 100 degrees in Charlotte, North Carolina.
The hot weather will continue for much of the remainder of the week before there's a break in the pattern.
As the eastern trough begins to strengthen, some relief in sight for the Southeast as we move into the weekend and beyond.
However, the heat may linger, though, further south, particularly across the Florida Peninsula through next week. For USDA Radio, Susan Carter, Washington, D.C.
The USDA has a few maintenance tips that will help keep your lawnmower, no matter what kind, in tip-top shape. Rod Bain with the USDA has more.
It's that time of year where the sounds of lawnmowers on any given weekend fill the air of the neighborhood. Maybe yours, as we try to take care of our lawns. Then again, the sound of sputtering lawnmowers in need of maintenance is never a good thing either. Marcus Gardner of Alabama Cooperative Extension System says this could be a result of winterization, meaning when winter arrives,
guess what? We just put that lawnmower back in the same shed or same little storage area that it came out of. We use it when it's good, when it's time to be used, but we don't maintain our lawnmowers the way we should.
So he offers some maintenance tips for your lawnmower. Say you use a gas-powered mower. Perhaps the most important thing to do is stabilize the fuel.
Allowing gas to rest in your lawnmower all winter could clog the carburetor. It could cost you more than $100 to have the parts professionally cleaned, while a gas stabilizer could only cost $20 or less.
Remember to change the oil and spark plugs on a routine basis. And if you have a riding mower, make sure that you replace or charge up the battery.
There is a required amount of voltage the lawnmower needs to operate different parts, such as lights, sensors, blades, and the starter, and also the coil used to recharge the battery while in operation.
Servicing or replacing other parts of your gas-powered mower as needed, such as belts, air and fuel filters, is also important as maintenance practices. And Gardner says perhaps a tip we don't consider, especially with a riding lawnmower, is proper tire pressure.
Believe it or not, proper tire pressure has a huge effect on how level the grass is cut. Proper tire pressure will make the difference between a good or bumpy ride on the lawnmower. Furthermore, friction could be placed on the engine and transmission, as well as added weight on flat tires. So it's important to keep your tires inflated to the proper amount of pressure.
Now say you have an electric lawnmower. You may think none of these tips apply to you. Gardner says you still need to practice maintenance. For example, whether you have a gas-powered or electric mower, remember to clear the deck of old grass clippings and sharpen the blades for proper operation. Also to consider with electric mowers,
there are two types of electric lawnmowers. There's one that's cordless, and the other one is with a cord. So one thing you want to do is store it in a dry area. We don't want any water or a lot of moisture on that engine. And after each use, you can clean it off, wipe it down really good.
And whatever type of lawnmower you use, remember it has movable parts, so proper lubrication is essential.
Anything that's moving has friction to it. So those parts that are moving, pulleys, belts, blades, have to be lubricated in order to keep those parts moving and intact.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
There are thousands of dams and water control structures in this country that the Agriculture Department's conservation agencies have helped to build over the last 80 years. In many cases, these are all that stand between the people who live nearby and a potential devastating flood. This week, USDA unveiling a new system to do real-time monitoring of these dams. It's called
Dam Watch.
Dam Watch. And Jason Weller, chief of the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service, told reporters the system's already monitoring real-time for each structure conditions on weather, water levels, earthquakes, and if the system picks up a potential problem,
it will then send an automated text, phone call, email to the local officials who are responsible for ensuring the safety of that dam.
And the safety of the people around it. The system also has, for each dam, engineering blueprints, structural assessments, photos, maps, emergency action plans in case of a breach.
Critical information that emergency responders need. What's the potential flood zone? Who do you evacuate first?
And how much time you have to evacuate. Dam Watch is up and running, monitoring 12,000 dams across the country. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Washington.